Hi, this is Mary Terry. Thanks very much for tuning in. I wanted to show you a quick project that I made with some recycled leather from my furniture store where I work, which is Raymer and Flanagan. It's a beautiful furniture store on the East Coast of this United States. They started in upstate New York, and we have stores all the way down to Delaware. So I'm a home furnishing consultant there for them, and I really enjoy it. It's great working there. It's so much fun working with the public and helping them furnish their homes and design things, and it's just really cool. So what they do is they have these fabric samples, or these samples of fabric and leather in this case, and this came from a set that is no longer going to be carried at our store, so they were going to pop this into the trash. Can you believe it, folks? I know, it's sad. So I said to my boss, do you mind if I take this home with me? And he was like, no, go right ahead. So I decided to make a couple of, it's a really cool thing. There's a lot of leather in it. I'm going to be able to use it for many projects. So I had a bigger piece of leather for this project that I made earlier, last week I think it was, and I thought I would make another mini one because we have our friends and family sale coming up, which is like a really big deal at Raymer and Flanagan, which is like a huge sale that we don't advertise to the public, and so it's just like for friends and family and my best customers and that kind of thing, and we give a really good discount. Anyway, this is the most beautiful leather. I don't know if you can see the sheen on that, but it is so soft. And what I did to bulk it up a little bit was to add some paper on the interior of it so that it would hold my elastic, because my elastic is my binding, like a midori style. So I've got 2 holes up here where I have some elastic, 2 holes down here, and then one in the center. And the whole, and these little books I got from Michael's for like $1, I think, but they're little notebooks. These are clear, you know, blank. These have lines in them. So, so I made it, and I love it. It's pretty, and I thought, well, let me make another one and show my friends on YouTube how to do it. I'm sure there are lots of videos out there that show you how to do it, but this was my methodology. So I used this paper pad here from Michael's. It was a hot buy that I recently received, so I recently got this. And I used this pretty paper for the interior. And then this was like a beautiful sort of burgundy leather that came off of that swatch. As you can see, here are the grommets that it was strung from on the thing. And so what I did is I took the measurements of the books and I added them together along with the spine to come up with my measurements, and that's a really easy way to do it. So whatever book you're using, I happen to be using a couple Moleskine, I think that's what they're called, Moleskines, I think, I don't know how to say it. This is what they are, Moleskine, I don't even know, folks, but they're little notebooks, and I thought it'd be fun to have them for friends and family, the sale, so that I could write down and jot down notes about my customers and who I'm inviting and that kind of stuff, and appointments that I have booked, those types of things. So we can get started on how you make this thing. So you need a couple of supplies. You don't need all these things, but they are helpful. I used my scoreboard. I have a Martha Stewart scoreboard to score the paper. I used a bone folder, which is also, I think, Martha Stewart, believe it or not. Elastic for the binding, so I'm just using this stuff I got at Michael's, which is called stringing elastic, and it's by Bead Landing, and it's all kinds of multicolors, which I thought would be fun. I could pull out some colors that would look nice with this cover. Then you need leather, of course, and I got mine from my furniture store where I work, so I bet you if you have a big furniture store near you, if you went and told them that you are a crafter and that you love to use remnants and that you can use remnants, they might give that to you when they're at the end of life, if you catch them at the right time. You need the paper, of course. You need hole punches if you have them. If you don't, you can use a needle. I happen to have some gadgets, so I'm going to use them. This is my We Are Memory Keepers crocodile, and this is the Big Bite crocodile, which I use for the center, for the hole, which I'm going to show you in a sec. You need a corner rounder if you like to round your corners, which since these notebooks are rounded, I thought, yeah, let's do the leather rounded. I did the other one rounded too, the one that I made prior, which is hiding now. So these are rounded because those notebooks inside of it were rounded. So corner rounder, a self-healing mat, and a craft knife to cut the leather, along with a ruler that's like metal edged so that when you cut it, you've got something really sturdy to cut against, because if you don't use it sturdy to cut against, you could cut yourself, which I don't want you to do. So be really careful. Make sure your blade is sharp and that you have a good ruler to withstand you cutting, okay? You also need the ruler. You need a craft knife, as I said. I think I use this spray adhesive, the Super 77 by 3M. It is some really tacky stuff. It's very sticky, and it doesn't take long to stick together, and it doesn't take long to cure either. And then a pair of scissors just for the elastic, I think, is all I need. So what I did is I took a piece of paper and I measured my books, as I said, sort of on this scorebook board. So you can kind of see it's a tad over, maybe you can't see that. It's a tad over 3.5 inches wide and a tad over 5.5 inches long. So I cut my paper to 5 and, so the books are, excuse me, they're 5.5, a little bit over 5.5. So I cut my paper to 5 3/4 long by 7 3/4 wide. And the reason I did that is because there's a spine that you have to think about, right? So I put this up here and it looks like it's a little bit less than 1/2 inch, but I wanted to give myself 1/2 inch to, I don't know if you saw that or not, it's 1/2 inch. And I wanted to give myself that to be able to fit them within the book. The cool thing about this is when you score, so I cut my paper, I cut my leather, I scored the paper at the 3 5/8 mark, and also the 4 1/8 mark, because my books, that's where it falls. So wherever your spine is going to be, you kind of have to think about that. So you add the book cover, all right, twice, and then the spine once, so that you can wrap around your books. So that's what I'm doing here. So that's what I did. And in the meantime, because I just thought it would be messy on camera and everything, I adhered this with this stuff, this Super 77. You can use any spray adhesive, but it really is like stuck on there now. And it's great because it's going to withstand the elastics that are going to pull against it. Like, see how this pulls against it? But because the paper's there, it doesn't give in like a piece of leather normally would that wasn't fortified, if that makes any sense. So the next part of this making is, once you have your little pamphlet together, is to kind of bind it, right? Which we've all probably seen videos on how to do this, but in case you haven't, I'll be happy to share. This is beautiful leather too. It feels so soft. I can't wait to use this. So what I'm going to do is start with punching, or rather corner rounding this. And since these are kind of a wide corner, they're not probably, but they're more than the 1/4 inch. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch on my punch, and I hope it comes off, and it does. And if it doesn't, I'll use a craft knife to finish it off. But these corner chompers are so good that they usually pretty much cut through everything. I'm going to have to use a craft knife to clean that up, but I will. So let's get it in there. Oops. We'll get it in there and we will chomp it. You guys know how to do this? Oh, come on. Why is it not coming in there? There we go. Wow. Okay, yeah, because you're going through a lot of material, but it's coming out pretty well. I mean, there's a little bit left on the edges, but I think I can clean that up with a little craft knife, like I said, or as I said rather. And I'll try this over here. And so we've got this started. I think this one looks like a better front cover than this one, but I don't know. But look how pretty it is inside. I'm just loving this already. I'm taking a craft knife now, and I'm just going to pull off, and I don't know if you guys can really see this in detail, but I'm just trying to pull off the leather that didn't really get cut very well by the, actually I might use scissors for that, but it's just leather, so it's just like the little hair, the edges of the leather. So I think I could just cut it off with my scissors and give it a little trim. And maybe a better trim. So anyway, we got that. That's pretty. Okay, and then do the bottom or the top, whatever this is here. We'll figure it out in a sec. when we're done, because it's identical on all sides. If you had a piece of pattern paper in there that was a, you know, up and down kind of pattern, you know, one that had a direction on it, then I would be mindful of that. But this one is just so pretty as is. So I'm not gonna worry about the kind of messy backs here, but leave them. But here's the front of it so far. The next thing I'm gonna do is make sure that my books really fit in there nicely. And I gave myself a little bit of space with the measurements that I gave you before, which was the 5 3/4 inches long by 7 3/4 inches wide, because I wanted there to be a little bit of an edge around the books themselves. So when it's inside, as you can see, I hope that there is a little bit of a gap, because this one was kind of tight. This one was almost up to the edge, as you can see, but I still like it. So there we go. Well, next thing to do, I think, really would be to punch the holes in there. So I'm gonna take this, and this is where I always really do a poor job, because I don't know, I'm just not very good at punching holes, I guess. But this thing helps a little bit. So I'm gonna punch one on either side of my score line, like with inside of it though. Just a little bit down from the top. Try to get them even. I'm just eyeing it. You could measure it. You could use grommets. You could do whatever you want. It makes it happy for you. But I'm just trying to get this as near as, you know, together as I can. So I think that's going to be okay. And then, as you can see, my little holes are inside there and the outside there. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Knock that out of there. Sorry about that banging. And then let's punch one here. Oh, I always get nervous at this point of it. I don't want it to be too far close to the top, and I don't want it to be too unclose to the top either. I want them to be side by side. Let's hope they are. Okay, they are. Woo! Okay, good. Finally. The other one was kind of wonky. And then I used this big guy here to go into my center. So if this is my front, then I want my center to be right here. Rich is trying to be quiet in the other room for me, which is really nice. He's so sweet. He set up this video for me because I'm trying to put this together. So I'm just eyeing it down the center of the middle because I want it to be sort of in the middle, you know, as close to the middle as possible. So about there. So you can see I have a little hole in the center, and that's what it looks like on the front, and I mean inside, and that's what it looks like on the outside right so far. So now we've got this really like wonderful little cover that I'm going to, and then I have these extra pieces which I thought would make really cool bracelets or something. I haven't decided yet. I thought this would be cool. You could kind of tie it on the side with like a little bit of a, like some kind of fiber or something, and have like a cool bracelet. I have no idea. But I will figure something out for that for sure, because I don't like to waste anything if possible. So once again, we're back to the elastic that I discussed with you earlier, and I like all of these colors rather. So I'm just gonna pull out enough to string my books. And the way that I do this stringing is probably not the right way, but it's the way that I do it. So I start from the inside, and I take it, and I'm looking at what my front of my book is, and then I bring it back through. So you've got this kind of thing going on. So you've got this little loop, and I bring it all the way down to the bottom. And once again, in through the next hole. It's kind of dead simple, but for some reason I always mess it up. And then I'm going to put a little bit of tension in here because I want my books to make it go flat, but I don't want it to be too tight that it's, you know, that it's stretching the elastic too much. So I'm just gonna make a nice knot here, maybe a square knot. I can remember how to do that, which I think is right over, left over right, right over left. Left over right, right over left. I'm gonna try that. I don't know, that might be wrong. I can't remember my Girl Scout days there very well. So there we have a little cover I'm going to cut off this edge here if I can find my scissors. My scissors. There. So I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to take my little notebooks and directly in the center of them, I think I'm going to put my pink one on the front because I really like it. And this is my front. So the pink one has a back to it. I'm going to put it right in the center of where you see the stitching. See how the stitching's pink there? So I'm going to line that one up here. And let's hope this comes together. Here's my little Moleskine culture and imagination. It's cool. These little books are very nice for note taking. And then I'm going to throw my yellow one in the back. Again, I'm just finding the center of that book and putting it on my other elastic side that's over here. And now I've got this cutie little notebook holder that I can take to work with me and carry around with my other stuff like my tablet and things when I'm working with people and write down the things that I need to write down during this big sale. And then the next portion would be to put some, and since it's Easter, I thought, yes, very good. I'm adding a little bit of elastic for the center of it. And what I usually do is just kind of wing it. And when I say that, you know, do whatever makes you happy. If you want to actually measure it out across the top of it, go ahead. But I have enough elastic here, I think I can do it. So I'm going in from the one side here. And I'm going to go in from the other side over here. Let's see, let's just bring it around. So, wait a second, I think I did that wrong. I think I want to go out, right? Hold on. I'm having a moment. Yeah, I want to go in, but I do want to have this little gem on there. This one is easy because it's got like a little open thing on the back of it that you could attach to a necklace or something, so it's going to be pretty simple to put on. But this one was more challenging because it has a bail that doesn't open, you know, so you have to make sure which direction you're going. This one is going to be more simple. So I'm just adding in my string right to the center of that hole there, okay? And all you want to do is to make sure that it wraps around the book. So I'm gonna take about that much and put it in this hole again. So I'm putting 2 pieces in the hole. And if you have to cut it or use a little pokey tool to get it in, that is cool too. And so let's see, where are we? If I'm looking at this book like this, and I think I have this okay, I would be wrong, because see how much slack there is right there? So what I want to do is pull this towards me, these strings a little bit more. Try it again. That one is still too slack. So bring them in again. I'm probably wasting some elastic here, and I apologize for that because I don't, as I said, I don't like to waste things. But isn't that going to be pretty with that like red, orange, kind of into orange, and then the yellow on the sides of it? Super cool. So all you need to do here is tie this up. And what I usually do is just make a bunch of knots because it just makes sure for me that they don't come through that hole. Now, if you were to put grommets on this, you could do that, and it would be less difficult for the elastic to pull through. But I think just making a big old knot like that is going to work just perfectly for me. I'm going to trim off the edges in a second. But ta-da, it's around the edge. I'm going to put my little cross on there. I hope this is going to look cute on it. I wasn't sure. I just picked it out. Oh, look how cute that is. So that's got all these wonky pieces hanging up, right? So I'm just going to chop them off. So I think that's going to be cool. I just get my scissors and leave a little bit just in case I have to retie or add to the knot. And hide that inside. I think everything else is hidden pretty well. This one I think I could probably take some of that out of there too, just to make it less bulky. And you can always restring these if you don't string them right the first time. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just a little tiny book that is so handy to carry. I would like to I'm going to trim up the edges here at the back very much, you know, once we get done with this video. But I really wanted to thank you for watching and for being a subscriber, and I hope this was helpful. I know I didn't show you how to adhere this stuff, but what it is, I took this spray and I sprayed it in a spray box that I use outside because this stuff is toxic, okay, really. You don't want to breathe it. And then I sprayed it on the paper, the wrong side of the paper, obviously, the white side of the paper, because this is just a single-sided paper. It's not a double-sided paper. If you had a double-sided paper, you know, you'd want to choose which side you want to use. And then I sprayed the paper and then fitted the paper to the leather. So it's not the most perfect thing, but it's really pretty. And happy Easter, everybody. I really appreciate you watching, and I hope that we can get together soon again. Bye for now.